This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Here we go. Your dial set correctly to USAPrepares.com. And we're broadcasting from high atop the Missouri Ozark Mountains. Your dial is set correctly. So link to all of our instructors on the website, USAPrepares.com. If you need to refresh your memory or share something that you heard on this broadcast, just click on USAPrepares.com. Converging threats are confronted daily by your instructors. I'm Vincent Finelli. Alex is producing the worldwide broadcast. Class, USA Prepares is stepping way, way outside the box with broadcast classes that are not taught in school nor discussed on the radio. Today's 2 hours of classes are examples of where we're going. Survival and preparedness to the next level. If you're not aware of what is happening and why, you cannot prepare. Hour number one is what to do when you're trapped, outnumbered, and confrontation is your only way out. Hour number two is what happens when the system comes after you in a heavy-handed way, and they want to put you out of business, and they want to destroy your family's livelihood, and they don't stop very easily. The stories that you're going to hear in the next 2 hours are real. Instruction that you've not heard. With us right now is Norman Storm Cantwell. He's a mixed martial arts competitor, an instructor. And when I think of him, I think of Hulk Hogan. There's an image on the website, USAPrepares.com. If you'd like to go to page one, it's posted. He's been a bouncer at a bar. He's been in lots of confrontations. He's never lost one. To take him out required hitting him with a car. He was killed and came back to life. He was in a coma. He was at our Monday night meetup at Ziggy's. He brought a student with him, Derek. Derek is 265 pounds. He's a young man. He's a big man. Derek spent most of the evening in pain, and you could see it in his face. Storm was going very, very easy on him. What you're going to learn in the next hour is the opposite of what you might naturally think. You're going to learn that science and tactics win. Determination is key. You're going to learn that the best defense is a rapid three-step attack. Unexpected and overwhelming. Welcome, Storm Cantwell.
Thank you so much. How you doing this morning?
Storm, it's great to hear your voice. You know, it was really fun being with you at the meetup on Monday. You know, I said, I asked if we should continue with the demonstrations and discussion, and the only one who was probably not excited about seeing more was your student, Derek.
Derek is he's a good man. He did very good Monday night. I was very proud of him.
Yeah, he did a great job, but I'll tell you, he was in some positions where it was impossible for him to fight back. Storm, you trade by storm. Now, you've been the object of a movie called Roadhouse, a 1989 film. Patrick Swayze starred in it. He played a bouncer. Can you tell us a little bit about that movie?
It actually happened before my death. The movie supposedly was based off my lifestyle, and at that time, that's kind of what I did. I was a cooler. I would go make bad bars, good bars. Kind of went all over the country, just traveled, and once again, did kind of what the movie did, or what the movie portrayed, just making a bad bar or a good bar. You would take out the bad elements. So it was kind of a rough lifestyle. I've been shot twice, stabbed twice, and a lot of things happened, including hit by the cars. So life was kind of exciting at that point. Life has changed pretty dramatically since my death. But prior to my death, a lot of things took place.
Well, Storm, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that you've done in your life. Now, you are a mixed martial arts competitor, and you've been a cage fighter. Let's talk a few minutes about that.
Prior to my death, one of the things that I did as a bouncer, there was and once again, I don't have memory prior to my death. My death literally started my life. Prior to my death, I have knowledge because I journaled a lot of things. A fight had broken out in a club. There were 8 people involved in the fight, and I didn't have bouncers there at the time. So within just a few moments, the fight was done. Everybody was down except for myself. 2 people had observed the fight, and both of them had made the comment they'd never seen anything like what had just taken place, and basically was given the opportunity to make money in prearranged fights on the street. Had 62 prearranged fights, never had a loss. Once again, what a lot of people teach is how to fight. What I teach, kind of what you mentioned earlier, is a science. It's impossible to counter, impossible to stop. So if you are being attacked, it ends very quickly just because of what, and you've had the opportunity to kind of see a little bit of what happens through Derek. But there is no fight to it. What you see so much of the time, once again, is a fight. This is a science. Can't counter, can't stop it. So if you're being attacked, whether it's an unarmed attack, whether there's a weapon, it happens so quickly. You're doing a lot of styles will teach you a 1, 2, 3, 4. What I teach, and kind of what you mentioned right off the very initial move, you're basically doing 3 different things at one time, which makes it impossible for your attacker to counter what you're doing, whether they're attacking you, whether there's more than one attacker and you're attacking them. Once again, it just shuts the body down so quickly that they can't counter, they can't stop. All they have to do is kind of like what Derek did. You know, he's in a situation, and you can take it from whatever level you basically want to. Restraint, which I was showing a lot of Monday, or instant knockout, or incapacitate, which means either I'm breaking bones, tearing tendons, ligaments. You know, the last desire is to hurt anybody, and kind of what we spoke about Monday. You know, nobody has the right to hurt us either, and that's all I'm doing is educating people, enlightening people. It doesn't matter the age, the size, the strength. In fact, I've did several classes here since Monday, and most of the people in the class are elderly people, and they're realizing that being elderly does not matter. They still don't have to be a victim, and that's what the whole class is. You never have to be a victim anymore. Size, strength, none of that matters.
Storm Cantwell, when you were in these 62 prearranged fights, Why were these fights prearranged?
It was basically, they were prearranged. You would have a location, a city, and it was set up. People would bet on the fights, almost like gladiator days. There was money involved in the fights. You would have a winner, you would have a loser. And, like I say, who I am now is definitely not who I was then. So what I did then, a lot of what I did prior to my death, because I have no memory, it didn't affect knowledge, didn't affect skill, didn't affect the ability to read, write. I know my martial arts. I know how to speak Spanish. I have no idea where I learned, but have all this knowledge. I just have no memory. Like I say, a lot of my cooler days and the fight days, I journaled every fight, so I knew about the fights. Like I say, I just have no memory of the fights, but I know that there was money involved. That's what the whole deal was kind of all about. Entertainment and money, gambling on it.
Storm, are those fights real?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay.
They still go on today, Like I say, I'm no longer in that fight game. Who I am now is different than who I was then, but they still go on all the time. This happens, all across the country.
Storm, you talked about your death. Now, why did you die?
Basically, I wanted out of the fight game. My last fight, if I would have thrown the fight, I would have been allowed to walk away. The guy that I was supposed to fight had killed people, and basically I figured if I would have thrown the fight, that's more than likely what would have happened to myself. I did not throw the fight, and because of that, I believe that it's kind of a set-up deal. I was actually working at an establishment, and a fight had taken place outside. Come outside.
Storm, hold that thought. Storm, hold that thought. Tell us about that fight and what happened. And that's pretty interesting, class. Hang on. You're not going to believe it. We'll be right back. Class, Storm Cantwell is with us. Storm Cantwell has been involved in lots of fights, 62 of them, prearranged fights. He was told to throw a fight for money, a prearranged fight. He didn't. He didn't throw the fight. You won the fight, Storm. And what happened next?
Well, once again, it was kind of a prearranged deal. There were between 12 and 15 witnesses to the car accident. It was a hit and run. Everybody, the color of the car was different, make of the car was different. Basically, every story was different except for everybody heard the loud thud when I hit the ground. It literally, when the car hit me, everybody estimated the speed of the car anywhere from 55 to 60 in a parking lot. And when it hit me, I kind of catapulted up over the car. Everybody said I went 25 to 30 feet up. And when I landed on my head, my neck, my back, paramedics were called, died at the scene. I actually spoke with the paramedics after coming out of my coma, but I told them what they said, what they were doing, and basically they said, well, that's impossible. You were dead at that time. Had an after-death experience. They talk about going before light, going into a tunnel. The tunnel is more rays from the light. The light is brighter than any light that we we know as far as light, can't even comprehend that light. I had no control. I'm just going towards that light. The closer I got to the light, a lot of people talk about having their grandparents or someone speak to them. Nobody spoke to me. But the closer I got to the light, I could feel energy all around me. I could feel the presence of God. I felt the love of God. The closer I got to the light, I couldn't look into the light. I closed my eyes. I tried to cover my eyes. I actually turned my head away from the light. And at that moment, I didn't speak verbally, but I thought in my mind, I'm before the presence of God, and I don't know God. And the moment that I thought those thoughts, I could feel myself going back down. Nobody told me it wasn't my time. Grandparents, nobody spoke with me. I knew I was in the presence of God, never got to see God, but come back, literally seeing myself come back into my body. Was in a coma for 11 days. Come out of the coma. The moment that I come out of the coma, a nurse had come in, and a lot of things, like I say, changed at the time of my death. I hear energy 24/7 all the time. Nighttime, I have to have something on just because I hear that energy. Everything has energy. If you've ever seen the movie Avatar, it talked about energy being in everything. Literally everything has energy. Not only do I hear it, but I feel it. Certain people will see auras. I don't see the aura, but I feel the energy from the person. So literally you can tell emotions, you can tell disease, you can tell kind of everything. Prior to my death, I did the healing aspect through the martial arts, basically using the meridians and the body, different points in the body, the energy of the body. This is just how God has made the body. But after my death, what I do now is totally different. I'm kind of an instrument, but I've seen God do some amazing things that you cannot explain any other way other than God. So that aspect, I love doing the teaching. I love the martial arts. I have a passion for it. I believe God has given me an understanding that is second to none. The healing part is even more amazing. So I have kind of a double passion in life, and very, very blessed. I'm here strictly by the grace of God. Like I said,
Norm Storm Cantwell's with us, and he was with us at the meetup for an hour and a half. He was demonstrating his system. Never broke a sweat. Never broke a sweat. When we come back, we're going to talk about the tactics, how to implement them, how they work, and why. How to defend yourself. Class, Storm Cantwell's with us, and he's going to teach us how to survive an assault by some people who want to do us harm. Storm, you tell a story about the rabbit and the cat. And the cat. Can you share that with us, and then let's go right into the tactics. What do we do?
Normally, a lot of times I'll use the analogy of wildlife because there are predators, there are prey in wildlife. The predator, doesn't matter what the predator is, it will stalk the prey using a squirrel, a cat, or a squirrel, rabbit. The rabbit's only defense basically is listening, looking. If it hears noise, if it sees something, it runs immediately. Squirrel does the same thing. When it's attacked by a predator, it doesn't have the ability. It's trying to get away, but it's fighting against getting away. And when I basically, if a cat was to attack another cat, that other cat's going to fight back immediately. You very seldom see a cat fight last very long because the cat, all of a sudden, this is not a squirrel, this is not a rabbit, it's another cat, it's fighting back. And in the real world that we live in, once again, there are predator, there are prey. The predator will prey upon the weak, the sick, the old, the young, the unaware. And what I educate people or teach people is no longer to become prey. They change what you present to the bad guy is what he perceives. So if you present a package or a scenario where you're unaware, you're oblivious to what's going on around you, if you're carrying your purse incorrectly, if you're texting while walking, if you come too close, a lot of times the bad guy, the predator, doesn't always say, I'm a bad guy. They'll use deception to get close to you. I'm looking for my dog. I don't know where this address is. Anything to get within your space. I teach the people that I train, time and space is your friend. Nobody gets in this world, this space, unless you've invited them in. If they persist to come in at that point, once again, you're not going to become prey. They don't expect you to be a cat. And when I teach people, like I said, I'm not teaching people how to become Bruce Lee. I'm not teaching people how to be Muhammad Ali. I teach people a science that literally works every time. They cannot counter. They cannot stop. They're coming in to intimidate the prey, to put fear into the prey. When you have the knowledge that I teach, you no longer have the fear. You have the confidence. You have the ability, the knowledge. Knowledge is probably the most powerful thing that we can acquire. The more knowledge we have, the better are we prepared. This is kind of what you do. What you do is to be prepared, and this is a different type scenario. It's the same thing. You're prepared for any situation. You have the knowledge, you have the ability, you have the skill. We're not attacking 20 different points in the body. There are certain target areas in the body. When you attack these points, they can't function. And once again, it's not sitting there and fighting for 10 minutes. That is not a good thing. You know, if you're dealing with an older person, they don't have the ability to wrestle, to fight for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, even 2 minutes, even a minute. So if you can end the fight, end the confrontation, not that you want to do that to anybody, but if you are attacked, you have no other option. You end the attack immediately. You're able to, you don't even have to run away at that point. You can walk away. This is the whole philosophy of what I teach. Once again, you're never ever fighting. You're attacking target areas in the body that literally shut the body down, whether it's the eyes that they can't see, they can't find you. You attack the throat. A lot of times in the animal kingdom, animals will instinctively go for the throat because there's life and death in the throat. Whether you're affecting the blood flow, it takes a very short amount of time when you've affected the blood flow. It creates knockout, causes your attacker to go to sleep. You affect the air. Once again, same thing. We can live quite a while without food, a fair amount of time without water. Without air, it's very, very short. If you're not affecting the throat, then you're going to affect their ability to walk. Once again, if they're not breathing, they're not worried about finding you. If you affect their ability to walk, they can't get to you anyway. So you're either attacking one or all three of the different target areas in the body. And the way that I demonstrate or show people how to do it, the attacker can't stop it. You're doing three things simultaneously for your initial attack. Once that attack happens, I show people how to go ahead and follow through, with two more attacks. So once again, you're affecting normally all three areas simultaneously, but you don't even need all three areas. Once you've attacked one area, the attack is already done. At that point, you can leave the area. Are you still there?
Yeah, Storm, if you see a blow coming toward you, a strike, it looks to me like your first move is to deflect that. Second move is to incapacitate the person's vision. I mean, that's what I saw many times over and over. Would you say that's correct?
lot of times, once again, what I did Monday was to give people a real kind of a short synopsis or an overview of what it is. One of the attacks, in a true style of the martial arts, you're never ever blocking. If you would see, if Derek would strike, I'm touching points in the arm, and my action would literally set up a reaction on his part. I'm not blocking. I'm attacking points, or I kind of parry his energy and let his energy go past me, and I'm fighting on the outside where I'm able to attack the eye, the throat, the knee, and once again, at that point, I'm never stopping in his energy. So many styles will teach you to block. If I block, I've stopped that attack, but I'm giving him the chance to attack again. Here, immediately, once again, if I am doing a block technique, I'm either breaking a bone, attacking an energy line in the body, which sets up, and we talked a whole lot of Monday about action sets up reaction. Every time that we do something, or every time I was demonstrating something, Derek would have to follow, his body would have a reaction to my action, and it would basically set up my secondary, my third, my fourth attack. So literally it was almost like getting hit with a shotgun. His trauma would happen pretty much all throughout the body, so it wasn't attacking one area. It would be almost attacking 2, 3 areas almost simultaneously, where, once again, it basically just shuts down the body. So it's totally unique, totally different than so many styles out there. So many styles, once again, you will strike and then you pull back. If I strike and pull back, I've given him the opportunity to attack again. Monday we went over there are ways to get away. If you're grabbed, I can get away, and I can teach people how to get away. If you were in an office scenario and you didn't want to hurt your attacker, but you just wanted to escape, once again, doesn't matter how big he is, you can escape very easy. In a street scenario, I never teach to get away. If I'm teaching somebody to get away, I'm giving that attacker a second opportunity, a second chance to attack. Maybe the first time he's just grabbing. If I get away, walk away, he has a weapon on him. He pulls a gun out and shoots. So at that point, once that attacker on a street scenario attacks, that's what I'm teaching. You never let him get close enough to grab, but if he does, I teach you how to deal with that situation. If he's not grabbing, I teach you how to deal with that attack. If there's 2 attackers, 3 attackers, I teach you how to deal with that attack. If there's a weapon involved, a lot of styles will teach you, if a gun's involved, you're grabbing the gun. The gun is not going to hurt me. The knife is not going to hurt me. The ball bat, the club is not going to hurt me. It's a hand that controls that weapon. So I teach how to deal with the hand. If I can control the hand, whether there's a weapon in it or not, I control the body. I stop the action with that gun, with that knife, with that club. So like I say, it's a lot different than anything out there. Very, very quick. Once again, I'm never going to fight. You kind of witnessed that Monday with Derek. Derek's a big boy. Doesn't matter how big that person is. If I was to contest strength with Derek's a big boy. I'm a strong guy also. But I'm not teaching people to contest. A lot of times, Monday, we talked about focusing or operating out of our center. Once again, I take everything back to my faith, my walk. Scripture teaches me through Christ I can do all things. And that's kind of what I teach in the art that I teach. As long as I'm operating out of my center, I'm going to pull the attacker out of his center. He becomes very weak. He has no strength. But when I'm in my center, I'm going to have victory. And once again, that's kind of what you see Monday. I'm pulling Derek out of his center. Derek gets in trouble real quick. It wouldn't matter whether it was Derek or whether it was, another big guy. I don't teach a lot of restraint on the street if there's 2-3 attackers, I'll finish that first attacker immediately. People are not a whole lot different than animals when it comes to, if you look at dogs are pack animals, they're energy animals. They read energy. There's an alpha male. The other dogs kind of follow that alpha male. If you took out that alpha male, the other dogs kind of scatter, run. Well, back in the day...
That's okay. We've got a couple seconds. I just wanted to say for the class, Storm's about 235 pounds. His student was 265 pounds. Easily 10% larger. And Storm had no trouble convincing his student what was going to happen. And when we come back, let's talk about class. If you go to the website, you'll see Defense by Storm. And he's not kidding. What happens is within 3 seconds, the confrontation is over, absolutely over. And when Storm Cantwell was at the meetup on Monday, we talked about multiple attackers, and I asked him in front of the entire class, what do you recommend we do if there are multiple attackers? Because a lot of times, bad guys, it's not just one. There's strength in numbers, and they seem to like that strength. So, Storm, what do we do when there are multiple attackers?
Ideally, if there are multiple attackers, you don't want your attackers to be on all sides. So you try to keep everybody on one side of you. Normally, once again, kind of like what we covered earlier on in the segment, there's normally an alpha, someone who's kind of leads the gang. Back in the Old West, if the Indians were fighting the Cowboys, if the chief was taken out, the Indians would literally stop, regroup, go make another chief. Kind of like, once again, dogs. If you took out the alpha dog, whether it be animal, whether it be human, a lot of times the other attackers, the other predators, are not so game. Normally, back in the days when I used to bounce, and that would be my tactic, there would always be an alpha. There would always be somebody who was kind of leading the attack. If you took out that attacker, and you kind of seen how quick this happens and how devastating it can happen, you can take it literally to whatever level. But if there's 3 attackers, 4 attackers, if I take out that, or if I show the students that I'm teaching how to take out that first attacker immediately, all of a sudden it's almost like liquid courage. When someone drinks alcohol, they have a lot of courage. They have, they're willing to do anything. But this is kind of the same way in a group mentality or a group setting. There's courage because of numbers, just like you say. But when they see one of their friends go down immediately, and it's not a real, at that point, it's not a easy go down. It's boom, boom, devastation. They see that devastation and makes them think twice. That happened awful quick, awful fast. Do I want that to happen to myself? If there is a second attack, once again, you're done with the first predator, the alpha, so quickly, that you're able to go to the second. You literally can take 2 attackers out within just seconds. That's how fast, how devastating it is. But once again, when you're dealing with numbers, on TV you see 20 guys go against one, or 2 guys go against one. One guy gets hurt, the other guy's just right in there. In real life, it doesn't really happen that way. Their mentality changes dramatically when they've seen their friend go down, not just, simply, but very devastating, whether it be the elbows reversed, whether the knees reversed. Once again, in their eyes, they've seen devastation in front of them happen so quickly. It makes them think 2 times, 3 times, 4 times about, do they really want to pursue with this? A lot of times, all of a sudden they didn't really like that guy. They didn't know that guy. They don't want anything to do with that guy. And that's what normally would happen if you've got more than one attacker. Like I say, I'll teach my students, you're attacking that alpha, the one who is instigating. The others are followers. Once you take out the chief, the Indians want to go make another chief or attack another day.
Storm Cantwell, when you talk about the eyes, you're talking about when this attack is over, that person could be blind. When you talk about reversing the knee, you're talking about smashing that knee backwards. That person is not getting up. It's physically impossible. When you talk about the elbow reversing, that arm is not going to work anymore. Not until, at best, after a hospital visit and intensive recovery. Storm, when you talk about this, there is no reversing. This is not like Texas Ranger Walker, where he fights and then he waits for another couple punches and then he waits and it's not like that. It's very quick and devastating. Storm, thanks so much for being with us. Coming up next,
your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
everyone all set? This is hour number 2 of USAPrepares.com. We're going to tell you some stories that are absolutely true in this hour. What happens when the system comes after you in a heavy-handed way? And the system wants to put you out of business. They want to destroy your family's livelihood. What you're about to hear is absolutely true. Mark Baker's with us, our newest instructor, Baker's Green Acres. Now, he has a farm that is centered on the production of pastured poultry and heritage crossbred pigs. Mark was born in Massachusetts. He's a native of Massachusetts. And he began his farming career when he was employed full-time in the U.S. Air Force. He raises hogs in a farrow-to-freezer operation. And he, his wife, and 8 children have raised and produced animals to sustain themselves as well as to sell for over 15 years. In 2004, he retired. With 20 years of military service, he moved to Michigan, and that's when Baker's Green Acres became a full-time occupation. He's a proponent, a vocal proponent, of locally produced food and the use of production methods that are sustainable. He feels strongly that consumers have the right to eat wholesome, farmer direct food. I totally agree. Mark is passionate, and he's going head-to-head with Michigan's Department of Natural Resources to defend farmers' rights to raise heritage-bred hogs. What's happened, class, is in Michigan, the Department of Natural Resources has levied a fine initially on the 70 animals that were on the farm at $10,000 per head. That's almost $750,000. Now, there's 150 hogs. That's $1.5 million fine that he's facing. Welcome, Mark Baker.
Hi, Vince.
Mark, there's there's a lot of similarities between what's happening to you and what happened to the Dollarhite family here in Missouri. They were facing a $6.19 million fine for raising rabbits. Now, Mark, the Dollarhite family, Ken Hurley, I, and some others from USA Prepares are coming to an event, and we are going to make this situation well known worldwide. Let's talk about what's happening to you. So you're a farmer. You're just raising hogs. You're not causing anybody any problems. What's going on?
Well, it started back in 2011. The Department of Natural Resources issued what they call the declaratory ruling, and it's available on Michigan Department of Natural Resources website, so a person can go there and read it for themselves if they think that I'm just trying to be funny here. But in that declaratory ruling, they say that if you have pigs and your pigs have even one characteristic of the 9 that they list, then your pigs are feral, and they have added feral pigs to the invasive species order. And the invasive species order is actually good law, and it does protect the Great Lakes from invasive species like lamprey eels and things like that. But it was intended to oversee maritime operations, where people come in the lakes with foreign-flagged ships, and they would come in with seawater in their ballast tanks and blow that in the lakes. That's a bad thing. So the invasive species order was actually very good law, but the DNR, Department of Natural Resources, added a farm animal to it, to everybody's amazement. And the list of characteristics, I have them right in front of me right now. I'll just go from number 7 is tail structure, and it states that if you have a pig with a curly tail, then that is a feral pig. If you have a pig with a straight tail, that is a feral pig. And I'm not kidding. It actually says this. And then it says ear structure, erect ears, feral pig, floppy or folded ears, that's feral pig. And then the 9th characteristic, which is kind of my favorite, it says other characteristics not currently known to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. Yeah. So,
other characteristics not currently known.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, I have said I've said publicly that years ago, if you were really, really bright, you could get a job in industry, and you could be really productive. Now, if you weren't that bright, you could always get a job in government. And I'm sorry, I used to have some government consulting positions, and I know what I'm talking about. I really do. I was not impressed with many people who worked in government. So these guys, what a definition. What a definition. Yeah. So basically, they can say, well, we're talking about curly tails, straight tails. Is there any other kind of tail?
No, there isn't.
No. Okay, so we're talking about all pigs, according to the Michigan DNR, could be feral.
Correct. There is one carve-out, and that is animals raised domestically, they say. And we think what they're referring to, because some of the people that are on their initiative board are from Michigan pork producers, which are the big corporate hog producers, that have these great big 5,000 head barns, and they stuff animals in their head to tail, and they feed them tons of antibiotics, and it's a real ugly situation. We feel as though they think that is domestic hog production, and then the way that we raise hogs out on pasture, they feel as though that is not domestic hog production. But we can't get them to answer that question, so What we did, here's what I did, first of all, when I got this declaratory ruling in 2011. I called the DNR, and I said, what's the story with this? It can't be, straight tails, curly tails, one or the other. And they said, oh, that doesn't apply to you. Don't worry about it. And I said, yeah, but it's in writing here. It's in this declaratory ruling. This is law, and it's signed by the director of the Department of Natural Resources. And here in Michigan, the DNR is kind of feared by the citizens here. Sadly, they are feared by them. I'm not from here, so I'm not afraid of them at all. But I know from my time in the military that if something is spoken, it does not exist. So if you get the spoken word from some person at the DNR on the end of a phone that says, oh, it doesn't apply to you, then there's a problem, because the law, the written law that I have in my hand, it certainly applies to me because my pigs have either a straight tail or a curly tail. So it's a game that they play where they've given themselves the authority to come on farms, any farm, and inspect for invasive species. And like I said, it's a good law when it comes to maritime, when you have ships coming in the Great Lakes that are flagged from Russia and Norway and every place else. You want the DNR or you want the Coast Guard to be able to board those ships and make sure that they're following their checklist properly when they come in the Great Lakes. But for the DNR to give themselves authority to come on family farms, that's a different story. And you got to wonder, why do they want authority to come on family farms all the time? It just kind of defies the imagination. So we told the DNR that we didn't feel comfortable with the declaratory ruling, and we said that we planned to sue them for clarification. And they told us that they wanted us to kill off all our animals, depopulate is the word they like to use, and that if we didn't do that by April 1st of 2012, that they would arrest me, charge me with a felony, and then they would come on my farm and kill my animals. And I guess that was supposed to really scare me, but it didn't scare me too much. And I just told them, I'm not doing it, and if you come here, I'll be here waiting for you. And of course, they never came. And then they've kind of ratcheted it up pretty regularly. They issue like a sanction against us, stating that they will fine us $10,000 if we sell an animal in the state. Right, so we said, okay, we won't. We were selling our animals out of state. And then they put pressure on our veterinarians to make it difficult for us to get health paperwork to cross state lines. They wanted the veterinarians to check the box on the health paperwork that said feral swine. But my pigs are not feral, because feral pigs live outside the fence and have escaped or been abandoned or whatever, like a feral dog. But my pigs are not feral. They never have been. And so, okay, we did not depopulate. Oh, all right, so they've made it difficult for us to sell the pigs out of state. So they effectively, what they've done is they've shut our business down to where we can't move pigs off the farm, and we have to feed them every day. And that's not good in the farming business. That's not good.
Mark Baker, hold that thought. Mark Baker, Baker's Green Acres in Michigan. The Michigan Department of Natural Resources wants him to kill his animals. If not, they say they're going to kill him, and they're going to arrest him if he doesn't comply. Mark Baker, standing up to the government. We'll be right back. Class, Mark Baker's with us, Baker's Green Acres. He's raising pigs. There are 8 children in his family. He lives with his wife, Jill, in Michigan. They have a farm. They raise farm animals for sale. There are 10 on the farm. They are being terrorized. Let me say that a different way. They're being terrorized by the government. The very same people who claim to be protecting us from terrorism. They're being terrorized because the Michigan Department of Natural Resources is demanding that the Baker family kill their livestock, their farm animals. It's demanding that they kill their lifestyle. And Mark Baker and Jill Baker and family refuse to do it. Mark, I can tell you this, that if they come to my farm and they make any kind of claims about my animals, I'm going to take the same exact stand that you've taken. I have been threatened by the government. I've been told that they will arrest me. And they stood down. And what you're saying is you have to take a stand, and if you do, and if you take a strong stand, they're inclined to back off.
Yeah, they look for, they're typical scumbags. They look for the weak, and those are the ones they go after. When they come up against a strong one, then they have to resort to other tactics, usually.
So, Mark, they've threatened to put you in jail,
Right.
arrest you, for raising pigs that they can't define as what the problem is. And you're not the only one they came after, Mark. There are other stories.
No,
there's a story in Texas.
Yep. Well,
Okay,
people
so
are probably
so Mark,
wondering out there. Yeah, go ahead.
all right, Mark. So what's the plan? They want to come and they want you to kill your animals. Now, if you kill your animals, what do they expect you to do? Is there some kind of a sanitary disposition of these animals that would be acceptable to them, or do they want the predator birds to come and peck at them and eat them, or what about the smell? I mean, what do they expect? What is it? Just okay, Mark, kill the animals, and now they jail you for doing something else, by not disposing the animals properly?
Yeah, I don't know. It never really got into that realm of things. There was one guy north of me that did it, that went out and shot all his animals, and then he just left them lay out there. And that was kind of the end of his farming operation, and I don't even know if he's still in business. I think they got him. But the pictures wound up on the net someplace. I think Mike Adams put those pictures up with a bunch of dead pigs. It was a mess. But
yeah,
no, I don't plan to do that. So I haven't even thought what I would do with it. I mean, I did have to kill a lot of them last winter because we just couldn't feed them anymore. It was Christmas time, it's cold, feed's hard to come by, and we just didn't have the money to feed them. So all of the older ones, sows are the mother pigs, about half of them we processed, we butchered them. So we killed them and then we processed them for food, and just to get them off the farm, so we didn't have to feed them anymore.
Mark, it's
didn't
absolutely
make any money for the farm, and that's
right.
The problem is we have to continue to make the payments on the farm and keep the operation alive. And right now the state is betting that we won't be able to.
Mark, it's clear to me.
Yeah.
Mark, it's clear to me what they're trying to do. Tell me if I'm wrong. They want you out of business in order to protect the factory hog farming operations throughout the United States. There's a concerted effort to starve us out, the small family farm, to starve us out. And what we do is we don't pollute like these factory farms do. Imagine 5,000 pigs all penned up. That's a lot of pig poop. No kidding. It's not like that on the family farm because we let our pigs and our cows run in pasture. We'll be right back. Mark Baker's with us. His family is under siege by the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. Mark, we're coming your way. We're coming to Indiana September 14th to the Seven Sons family farm, and there's a rally there, and we're going to be talking about the overbearing, overreach, oppression, and terrorism by the governments toward the family farms. The Dollarhite family will be there. Judy and John Dollarhite will be talking and speaking about what happened to them when the USDA came down on them with a $6 million fine. Judy Dollarhite and John Dollarhite are true patriots. They stood against the federal government, and the federal government backed down. That's what you're doing. You're going head-to-head with the Michigan state government. So let's talk about the event on September 14th in Indiana.
Okay. What do you want to know?
Yeah. Well, tell us. Okay, tell us what you know about it and what's going to happen.
Well, the farm is called Seven Sons, and they specialize in grass-fed beef. They rent land all over the state, and then they run their cattle and then sell that to people that want grass-finished beef, which is real nice stuff. Mm-hmm. And I got to know them last year about this time. We went down to Polyface Farm, Joel Salatin's place, and got to meet with the Salatins, and that's how I met Blaine and Blake from Seven Sons. And they've been kind of monitoring the situation here where they're farmers. They understand that if the farm doesn't cash flow, it dies. Right. And so they want to help us just to stay going so we can live another day to fight. And so they're doing this fundraiser and trying to get people in from the state, get people of Indiana turned on to what is happening and how to prevent it from happening in their state. And then the proceeds are going to be used to keep our farming operation going, and I really appreciate that from those guys. You know, it's like one farmer helping another farmer.
Well, we're going to be there with you, and that's September 14th. Class on the website, usaprepares.com, page 1. There are several posts. You can click on them, and let's see. Let me go there right now. Okay. One is called Farm Festival in Indiana, Government Targeting Farmers. Mark Baker from Michigan, DNR, wants to kill his pigs. And it says USA Prepares will be there. And then the next one is Mark Baker, Farmer Under Siege, Michigan, DNR. They want to kill his pigs, $700,000 fine pending. So you can click on either one of those. You can make reservations. There are some motels nearby, and we'd love to see you. I will be there. That's September 14th in Indiana. Mark, let's give out some names and numbers. Who are the guys that we need to contact and put them on notice that we want this stopped right now? We want them to back off and leave you alone.
Well, there are two people, I think, that are key in this. One is the governor of the state, and his name is Rick Schneider. And the phone number down there is 373-3400.
All right, let's stay with that one.
Okay.
Okay, that's 517-374-3400.
No, 373.
I'm sorry. 517-37...
373-3400.
Okay, I'm going to post that on the website in the next couple of minutes. All right, so that's Governor Rick Snyder. What do we want to tell him?
I want to tell him to back off family farms. Back off. They have no right to do this, and it makes a big difference when they're getting a ton of phone calls down there, because then they know that the sterile swine issue is not going away. This has been going on since, I got involved in 2011. So most things kind of come and go in the governor's office, but everywhere he goes in the state, people are asking him questions about sterile swine and, bakers. And I feel like we kind of left a part of this out, Vince, that I think people might be asking right now. And that is, why would the state do this? What is their gain in doing something like this? And the answer is the state came out way back in 2007 and said, we have a problem in the state of Michigan with feral swine. And feral swine, for people that don't know that, they're pigs that have either escaped off farms or been turned loose out into the wild. People actually do that so that they can hunt them. And those pigs become feral. You know, they rewild themselves in order to survive, and they become a real problem. Now, the problem with their argument is there are none in Michigan. They're saying that we want to prevent them from being in Michigan. If you go to their website, they say that there's between, well, the numbers range because they change the story all the time, but it goes from 1,000 to 8,000 that they said back in 2008 that we had that many pigs running wild in the state of Michigan. I speak all over the state. I speak all over the country nowadays about this issue because it has to do with property rights and farms, and it's a very big issue. And I always start these talks off by saying, has anybody in this room seen a feral swine? And in the state of Michigan, I have never gotten one hand to go up. No one's seen them. So their argument that we have a problem and that they want to give the fix on it is called the Hegelian dialect or the Hegelian principle. And they introduce a problem, and the problem is made up. And then they say, here's the answer right here. And really the answer is that they want to have access 24/7 onto farms. What comes off farms? Food comes off farms. We've got this Food Safety and Modernization Act that's going to be shoved down our throat here in the near future. And they want to have access onto farms, which now are privately held property, and it's my farm. They don't. I can tell them to get off, and they can only come on if they have a warrant. But with this invasive species order in place, they will have access to farms anytime, day or night, without a warrant. That means they can show up, knock on your door, and say, we're going to inspect your farm, and there's nothing you can do about it. And who knows what they're going to inspect for? You know, so that's the part that's missing, is they're doing this because they say we have a problem with feral pigs. And I'm telling you, we don't. That's a technique that's used, you know, like we have this huge problem with terrorism, so here's the Patriot Act. We have this huge problem with terrorism, so here's the TSA. Here's the DHS. You know, they're giving you these things that they want to give you in order to prevent what they say is the problem. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Well, Mark, let's talk about this. Chief Cloudpiler of Nemenhah may have an answer for you. I am a Native American medicine man. I've been adopted by Nemenhah. It's a band of tribes of Native Americans, and you can be too. And if you want to contact Chief Cloudpiler, you can, and you can apply to be one of us. And if you do, you may post your farm as off limits to the governments. No government employee may set foot on your property without your permission, or they will be held individually accountable for their own actions violating a treaty with the government and the Native Americans. That is not something that government employees will do. They are weak. They are so weak, they only arrive in strength. They have to have the strength of numbers to protect them. They are not willing to do anything on their own accord. So this is a very, very strong thing that you can do by becoming a Native American medicine man. That's nemenhah.org, NEMENHAH.org, NEMENHAH.org. I suggest you contact them. Class, I suggest that you all consider this. And when you talk to Chief Cloudpiler, tell him that you heard about this on USA Prepares with Vincent Finelli, and he'll know what you're talking about. So I think that's pretty strong. And by the way, we had an expo, and we declared our expo as sacred, Mark, and no government employee dared show up. I'm not kidding. No police, no plainclothes people, no undercover, anybody, nobody. No government minion showed up. So it works. It works.
Yeah.
So I suggest you consider that. So let's give out some other numbers. Who else do you want to have us call?
Well, on the local level, the county sheriff could have put the kibosh to this whole thing, because he has the mandate to make sure that our constitutional rights are firmly in place. When the declaratory ruling came out, my wife and I made an appointment to see him, and I tried to put the declaratory ruling in his hand. He didn't want to take it from me. But what he should have done, if he was willing to do his duty, was to look at it and say, this has some constitutional problems, and then he could have passed it off to the county prosecutor that could have advised him what he should do, what he shouldn't do. But he chose to stay lockstep with the Department of Natural Resources. And we found out since why he did that. The Department of Natural Resources serves in this county. They're here to provide a function or a service to the citizens of this county, and that, maintain hiking trails and things like that, natural resource type things. What they do is they harass citizens. They overcharge for licenses. They harass citizens. I guess I said that twice, but that's really what they do. They're real pain. Everybody here absolutely despises the DNR. And it's not like we are living in a society full of lawbreakers. We have way more police presence than I believe we need. But the sheriff could have told them, no, you're going to have to stand down on this one. It's not going to work because it violates the Bill of Rights in several areas. Now, what else has happened here that puts the sheriff in a very bad position? I hear the music.
When we come back, we'll have about 5 minutes to wrap this up. So let's talk about why the sheriff's in a bad position. Mark Baker, and there's a link on the website, page 1, if you'd like to join us on September 14th in Indiana. We'll be right back. Mark Baker's with us, and we're talking about the attack on his family farm by the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. Mark, I just want to share that class if you'd like to learn more about Nemenhah and what you can do to become a medicine man and consecrate your farm or your property as sacred ground, and put the federal government, the state government, the local government off your farm legally. Click on usaprepares.com, page 1, bottom of the page, Chief Cloud Piler. There's a link there. You can click on it. It'll take you right to Nemenhah. Mark, September 14th, we're going to be at Seven Sons Farm in Indiana. There's a link on page 1 on the website. So we invite those who are interested in joining us and learning about this, what's happening across America. Certainly welcome to come and join us. Let's talk about the sheriff. What's he doing and what's he not doing?
Okay, what he's not doing is his sworn duty. He's supposed to make sure that our constitutional freedoms are firmly in place. That is his main job, to do that. And he's not done that. The Attorney General in the state of Michigan is they're the people that are prosecuting this case, and they leveled a $700,000 fine against me. If you go to the Bill of Rights, the 8th Amendment, it says we are free from excessive fines and cruel and unusual punishment. Now, the sheriff had a duty to engage the Attorney General and say, hey, you can't do this. This guy's a U.S. citizen, and he has constitutional rights. The sheriff did not do that. We informed him of his duty, and he refused to do it. That means he is derelict in his duty, and he can be removed from office for that. And that's going to take place. So there's really nothing, that you're not going to change the guy's mind to come to our rescue. What needs to happen is we need to start working on problems like this, but we need to work on those problems at the local level, at the county level. If you have a constitutional sheriff in place, a lot of these things will not happen, because the sheriff's job is to look at everything that comes across his desk and decide, is this constitutional? Does this work for my citizens? Yes or no. If it doesn't, then it shouldn't happen, right? And he does have the power to make that happen. He has the ultimate authority in the county. And if I could, Vince, I'd like to mention our website. if I can do that.
Please do.
It's bakersgreenacres.com, and one of the things that we really need, I'm pretty bold about this now, is we need funds to pay lawyers and lobbyists and all the other expenses that go with a fight like this. It's real expensive. So if there's people out there that can afford to help us in a big way, we would really appreciate that. So you could either contact us through there, or there's a donate button there through PayPal. And I'd really appreciate it.
I'm putting the link up on the website right now, bakersgreenacres.com.
Thanks a lot.
Well, I can tell you, Mark, that USA Prepares will be there. And I've contacted other broadcasters, and they are going to be contacting you to get the message out far and wide. This is an attack on our liberty. This is an attack on the family farm. And I believe that there's corruption involved with among the governments and the large factory farms. I think they want you out of business because you're a problem for them. Not only are you a problem, you rise to the occasion, and you said you're going to, that sheriff is going to be out of office. And how are you going to make that happen, Mark?
Well, we can't recall him until his second or third term. And when he goes into his second term, we're planning to put together a petition. And we've already studied the demographics, and we know what we need as far as signatures to get a recall vote done. And it's very, very doable. The sheriff in this county is not very well liked. And they need to put a good man in there, and we're working on that as well.
Okay, awesome. I'll be there. I'm looking forward to meeting you face to face. The Dollar Heights will be there. Ken Hurley's going to be there. bakersgreenacres.com. I just posted it on the website. The link is there. Go to Farm Festival in Indiana, government targeting farms. Mark Baker from Michigan. DNR wants to kill his pigs. Click on that, please, class. Go to his website. Please let us know if you'd like to join us. We'd love to meet you. Mark, thanks so much. This is a tough fight. We're going to win. We're going to win.
Thanks for having me on, Vince. Bye, everybody.
My pleasure. Welcome aboard, USAPrepares.com. Class, above all, honesty and integrity. What happens next is up to you.